Okay, everyone, good morning. How are you today? I hope everything is okay with you so we can start our lesson. Today's topic is comparison. Okay, let's go on to the subtopic making comparison with S and S. Okay, when you want to compare two things, we need to use adjective. And the adjective we use here are short and tall. For example, this sentence bar 1 is taller than bar 3. So bar 1 is taller than 3. Bar 3 is taller than bar 2. Bar 3 is taller than 2. Bar 1 is shorter than. So bar 1, if you compare to all of bar, is shorter than, of course, bar 4, right? Okay. And blank 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 is the of shortest one of all. So which one is the shortest one? Of course, bar 2. Okay, let's go on. So you have a sentence, Jane is not as old as Emma. So this is Emma and this is Jane. So Jane is not as old as Emma. The boots and the shoes are size 11. So both are 11 in size. So the boots are as large as the shoes. The chef cuts the onions as finely as he can. As finely as he can. So as and as, we can use as and as to explain parts that are equal or the same. And we can use adjective and adverb. Adjective, for example, as large as. For adverb, for example, as finally as. Annapurna is not as high as Everest because Everest is 8.848 meter and Annapurna is 8.09 meter. So Annapurna is not as high as Everest. Annapurna isn't quite as high as Everest. Annapurna isn't quite as high as Everest. Fuji isn't nearly as high as Everest because Fuji is 3.776 meter and Everest is 8.848 meter. So we can say Fuji isn't nearly as high as Everest. So we can say that the use of not as and as for negative form. Not quite as, adjective as, small difference. The use of not nearly as, adjective as, big difference. Okay, so if you use nearly, it means big difference. If you use quite, it means small difference. Okay? Now, look at this example. The boots are just as large as the shoes. The boots are just as large as the shoes. The skates are nearly or almost as large as the shoes. The skates are nearly or almost all as large as the shoes. So, you can say that just it's the same with exactly. Okay? Use as, adjective as. And nearly and almost also use as, adjective as. Okay, look at this example. This is the practice. What do you think? Antelope can run 95 kilometers per hour and cheetah runs 95 kilometers per hour. So, an antelope can run as fast as, yes. What about this one? Leopard can run 90 kilometers per hour. Cheetah can run 95 kilometers per hour. So we can say that a leopard can, nearly as fast as cheetah. What about this one? A leopard can't run. A leopard can't run quite as fast as. Yes. Okay, now we go on. Now we use comparative ending er. For example, a feather is lighter than a brick. So light plus er, lighter than a brick. Feather and brick are lighter than horses and truck. Feather and bricks are lighter than horse and truck. Horse are more beautiful than trucks. Okay, so in this comparative, we can use er for one syllable and more beautiful, more for three syllables or two or more than two syllables, more beautiful. And then after that we use than to compare, right? So a feather is lighter than a brick. Feather compare with a brick. Feather and bricks are lighter than horse and truck. So feather and brick are compared with horse and truck. A horse is more beautiful than a truck. So a horse compared with a truck. And then we use than. Okay, what about this one? We have three things here, three boxes. So you compare the three, not two. Okay, the three. For example, the purple box is the longest. If you compare purple box with these two boxes, so purple box is the longest of the boxes. And if you compare the brown box with the two boxes, we call it the brown box is the biggest box in the group. Okay, the biggest and the longest. So for superlative, we compare one of a group, not two things, but one of a group for superlative. Okay? So, the purple box is the longest of all the boxes. The brown box is the biggest box in the group. The Everest is the most massive mountain in the world. So the most massive mountain in the world. Okay, so we compare Everest with the mountain in the world. So it is the most massive. So superlative ending with es or most and then the plus superlatives. What about this one? Which one is correct? Is it correct or not? Yeah, sorry. Jazz is the most beautiful music in New Delhi. More beautiful. Sorry, is the more beautiful. Is it correct or not? No. What not? Why not? Because you should put most here. Okay? Because it is in New Orleans. So in New Orleans, jazz is the most. You don't compare with two things, but jazz is the most. The most famous jazz in the world is from New Zealand. Correct or not? Yeah. Next. Correct or not? I like jazz more better than rap or salsa. You compare jazz and rap or salsa. So is it correct or not? No. Why? Because you use two comparisons, more and better. You cannot do that. You only need one comparison. Okay, let's go on. Now comparative and superlative form of adjective and adverb. For example, our company is doing better than all of our competition. We are the best. So doing better than all of our competition. So for one syllable adjective, for example, all, we can use older for comparative, and we can use oldest, the oldest for superlative. For adjective wise, we use wiser for comparative and the wisest for superlative, one syllable. So we add er for comparative and superlative es. Two syllables, famous, two syllables, adjective. We use more for comparative, more famous, and then we use the most for superlative. Pleasant, two syllables, pleasant. We use more pleasant for comparative and the most pleasant for superlative. So, for two syllables, you will use more for comparative and the most for superlative. Two syllable adjective again, busy, busier, and then busiest for superlative. Pretty, prettier, and the prettiest. So, for adjective ending y, pretty, busy, lazy, y change into I and then plus er, right? Prettier, busier, busiest, and prettiest. Two syllable again, clever. Comparative, we can use cleverer and more clever. The cleverest or the most cleverest. Gentle, gentler or more gentle, and the gentlest or the most gentle. Friendly, friendlier or more friendly, or friendliest or the most friendly. So you can use both. Yeah? Okay, now adjective with three syllables. For example, important, important. For comparative, we use more, and for superlative, we use the most. Fascinating, fascinating, more fascinating, and the most fascinating. So we use more and the most. Irregular adjective. Irregular means that the adjective change the form. Yeah? For example, good, better, and the best. We cannot say good, gooder, right? Good, gooder, no. But good, better, and the best. That's what we call irregular. Bad, worse, and the worst. Okay, that's the change. And adjective ending ly. For example, carefully. Comparative, more carefully. And superlative, the most careful. Slowly, more slowly, and the most slowly. So we can use more and the most. One syllable. That was for adverb, yeah. Sorry, adverb. Now,